Welcome to Silverlight programming series of tutorials. In this series, you will learn Silverlight programming using C# and YAML. Before I start programming, let me start with a little brief introduction of Silverlight. Silverlight is a technology to build web applications using .NET 3.5 and WPF. WPF is basically named for uh, Next Generation Client Applications API. So also, before you start learning this tutorial, I would recommend you download Visual Studio 2008 and SQL Server 2005. Actually, if you don't have money, you don't have to actually buy the real product. You can just go to msdn.com and search for, or click on Visual Studio in the left side and look for Express versions. Express versions are actually free for everybody. So, and you should be able to build these applications with the Express versions. So once you install Visual Studio 2008 Express version or Team Suite or Professional or any other version, then you start learning from these tutorials. This is very first basic introduction tutorial. In this, we will simply see how to build your first Hello Silverlight application. But keep in mind, this is more like a series of tutorials. So in this series, I'll be basically going through one by one, and by the time I'll be done, maybe like after 30 or 40 tutorials, you will know everything about Silverlight. So uh, stay tuned, and by the time you are done with these tutorials, you'll be expert on Silverlight. Silverlight actually, another thing is I'm using Silverlight 2.0. So after you install Visual Studio 2008, you may also want to go to silverlight.net website. Go to www.silverlight.net. In that, there is a link called Get Started, where you can find all Silverlight downloads. If you don't know what to install, what not to install, search the C# Corner website for getting started with Silverlight, and there are a few good articles on explaining what steps you need to do. So anyway, uh, hold your horses and let's get started with our first video. And I hope you enjoy this video. As always, I would like to see your comments, your feedback. Keep in mind, we are always looking for feedback which helps me to improve this. I don't need a feedback saying like very good job or good tutorial or blah blah. What I'm looking for is critics, like how can we improve this video or article, what we are missing here. That's the key. Okay, I don't mind if you guys say give me whatever your feedback is. Okay, so anyway, let's back to work. Let's get started with our first Silverlight application. So when you open Visual Studio 2008 on file menu, click new and project. In project, now in the left side you will see Visual Basic, Visual C#. If you expand Visual C#, you'll also see Windows, Web, Smart Device, Office, Database, Reporting, Silverlight. Silverlight, you may not be able to see this if you have not installed Silverlight add-on after you install Visual Studio 2008. So if you don't see Silverlight here, means you have not installed Silverlight on your machine. So I would recommend you go to silverlight.net and download Silverlight, all three downloads from there for Visual Studio. Alright, so in my left side I select Silverlight. As you can see in my right side templates, I see two options, two templates: Silverlight application, Silverlight class library. First, we are going to start with simple Silverlight application. I will also show you in my forthcoming articles how to build a Silverlight class library. So anyway, let's give my name give my application name first, Silverlight application. Say OK. On next screen, it will ask you two options. Just keep first option selected. I will talk about this option later in more details. Remember, this is our very first application, so I'm trying to make it as simple as it should be. Okay. Once your project is created, in your solution actually you'll see two projects. One is your web project, one is your app project. Web project, as you can see here, first slapp.web, and then you see first slapp. Web project, right now you are not even going to touch it. This is to basically run a Silverlight code on web using ASPX and HTML. This I'll talk in more details in my forthcoming videos. In this, right now we are only focusing on how to write your first quick application. Alright, so I'm gonna rearrange my, I'll also make sure I have these so I can hide and make this screen a little, big. As you can see, I have Solution Explorer here, and I have a Server Explorer and Toolbox here. So first thing I'm going to do is, by default, Visual Studio adds a grid element to your YAML file. I'm going to replace this grid element with a canvas. Why I do that, I will tell you just in a second, but that's first thing I do. Now, from Toolbox, right now in Visual Studio 2008, if you drag a control, let's say button control, from your toolbox to your UI, it doesn't work. Visual Studio 2010 has a fix for it and it will work there. However, right now you can drag and drop a button control to your YAML file. So here, I just drag and drop a button control. Now, you won't be able to see button controls very little, so what we are going to do is we're going to give it a width and height. The width, I'll say 200, and height of the button, I say 30. Oops. As you can see, my button is created right here. Now, canvas comes really handy when you need to format the position of a control. So I can just say canvas.left equal to 20 and canvas.top equals to 20. So what this does is, from top of the canvas, it places my control from 20 height and 20 width. So I can really rearrange the position of my control however the way I want. The next thing I'm going to do is give my control a name. Every control in Silverlight has a X name element, and that's the unique name of the control. So I call it click button. After this, I'm going to set its text by using content attribute to say click me. Boom. So my button is ready. I'll also talk about more features like formatting elements, controls in Silverlight a little later, but let's just stick with the simple approach. Now I'm also going to add a click event handler. So click, as you can see, a new event handler option is available right here in IntelliSense. So double click on this. This actually adds a button click event handler for you in the code. And if you want to look at it, you just right click on it and say view code. And in your code, you are already in the click event handler. Button click. Anyway, let's get back to our designer. After creating my button, one more thing I want to do is I want to add a text box by simply dragging the text box from toolbox to my YAML file. As I did before, I'm also going to set name width and height properties of this text box, and I'm also going to set the position by using top, say 80, and canvas dot left, say 20. So as you can see, my text box and button is ready now. I gave button a name. I also set its width and height, and I also set the position of the button where, or the text box where it's going to be placed on the canvas. So now let's go back to my button click event handler. On this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set as text property of, as you can see, IntelliSense is not working here, and the reason is because designer actually fully doesn't support it yet. So one thing you can do is build the project. Once you build the project, if you try your text box, now you will see your text box is available right here. So here I'm going to say hello Silverlight, build and run the solution. So on my button click, I'm simply saying hello Silverlight. So F5 to build and run the solution. It will ask you to modify web config file, which is fine. Just say okay. It's not a problem. First time Silverlight application takes a while. So let's click the button. Boom, here. So you saw how easy it is to create a Silverlight application. Anyway, this was just a simple hello Silverlight application. But as we go to more in depth of the Silverlight technology, you will find it how how many new things have added to this technology, and how it is really different from all previous technologies like ASP.NET or ASP or HTML. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and just stay tuned. I'll be bringing more tutorials. Just follow the series. I'm going to start with basics and then slowly go more details in depth. Again, the feed comments, feel free to post them at the bottom.